Quick Crypto, bringing you quick Casper news. The US Supreme Court just made an absolutely huge decision, changing 40 years of history by overturning and kicking federal agencies like the SEC to the curb. This is massive for the future adoption and price of crypto, a major piece to the puzzle that is kickstarting its revolution. And in my personal opinion, not financial advice of course, I believe Casper will ride this wave up better than most. Although seemingly we are in precarious times right now in the crypto market, this seesaw crypto market, if you will, is potentially in for a massive correction. Bitcoin may be heading for 45k, so what does this mean for Casper? We'll get into that a little bit later, but beforehand, into the major headline of this video, the SEC is getting squeezed. This just in, the US Supreme Court restricts SEC's use of in-house judges for fraud cases. This is massive news, removing a major piece of power that the SEC had over the crypto market, and it's about damn time considering they are nothing, in my opinion, but clueless tyrants and corrupt bullies. So the US Supreme Court rules to overturn the Chevron doctrine, curbing federal agencies' power. The Supreme Court has overturned a 40-year-old case that allows federal regulators to enforce their interpretation of ambiguous laws. And thank God they did this. Rightly so, in my opinion, because defendants of the SEC's egregious oversight have the constitutional right to make their case to a federal jury when the agency is seeking financial penalties. We can hear a little bit more about this in this interview from Bloomberg TV. Pay close attention.
Joining us now with more is Bloomberg Balance of Power co-host Kaylee Lines in Washington, and this certainly seems like a blow to the SEC.
It is indeed, Katie. The SEC uses this in-house tribunal system to try hundreds of fraud cases a year, and now that power is going to be pulled back by the highest court in the land. Essentially, what the Supreme Court has decided here is that those fraud defendants do have a right to a jury trial rather than being tried by the in-house judges at the SEC. And this potentially is removing a key enforcement mechanism for the Securities and Exchange Commission under the chair, Gary Gensler. This will very much change the way in which the SEC conducts its enforcement actions and cases. And this is not the only decision that the Supreme Court has to decide within the next few days as we reach the end of the term here that could affect the SEC. Not only does the court potentially have the power, as they did today, to deal a blow to the in-house judges and the way the SEC does business in that case, we are still awaiting a verdict from the court on the Chevron doctrine. This is something that essentially gives agencies, including the likes of the SEC and the EPA, the leeway to read law that is unclear in the way the regulators choose. If they pull that back, that would significantly restrict the ability of these agencies to do so. So we're still awaiting that decision. But of course, we got the SEC curbing the in-house use of judges in SEC fraud cases today. And that's not the only one. The Supreme Court also has rejected the opioid pact with the billionaire Sackler family that was in control of Purdue Pharma. They, of course, had said that they would give up control of the company and pay a $6 billion fine. But the court finding today that improperly shields them. The Supreme Court also has blocked the EPA's good neighbor ozone rule. And I would remind you, we still have about 10 cases that the court has yet to decide, Katie. And of course, Bloomberg yesterday got its eyes on a yet to be released final opinion that had the court backing emergency abortions in Idaho. So a lot of news from the high court here in Washington today.
Now, I'm sure you've put it all together now and you understand just how big a deal this is for the future of crypto and Casper as a whole, allowing adoption to flourish in the United States in the near future, and a big step towards crypto revolution and a price explosion. We can see in this post here from Ripple's Chief Legal Officer Stuart Alderotty, which sums it up perfectly just how pristine, how great of an opportunity this is for you right now. This opening paragraph from today's Supreme Court decision in the internet content highlights crypto's vast potential. In 1997, only 40 million people used the internet and most didn't even know what it was, but today, the internet is ubiquitous to users counted in the billions. That is right, in the billions. That is just how early we are with crypto. We are basically looking at the growth of the internet before it exploded with crypto right now. And with Casper's revolutionary technology and protocol solving the trilemma with BlockDAG, there is no doubt in my mind that Casper will eventually play a critical role in the growth of this financial landscape that's happening before our eyes, this development, this new monetary system. Although, as I stated, crypto seemingly is in a precarious position right now. Looking at the market, Bitcoin is hovering around the 60k margin once again, fluctuating above and below it right now, and Casper is valued at 17.37 cents, down 2.15% on the daily time frame. It's frustrating. I know it is. You, like myself, are just watching and waiting for the next Casper surge to 25 or even 30 cents. But remember, don't be emotional, be logical. We have recently just achieved another new all-time high with Casper just short of 20 cents. And despite all the major Casper developments, looking at this logically, of course, because you have to, the developments may just stem the bleeding that's happening, potentially maybe happening in the crypto market soon, as institutions may start leaving and liquidity circulates to different investment markets. Because we have just witnessed a double top with Bitcoin on the weekly chart, clear as day, and a very common trend following a double top is a correction in the market because there wasn't enough liquidity to push Bitcoin past that level of resistance, that tough level of resistance at 73k. Now remember, this is not financial advice and always do your own research, but some of the potential catalysts that I have found that could result in a Bitcoin and crypto and Casper correction is the fact that, according to Uphold's Director of Research, Dr. Martin Heisberg, Bitcoin ETF flows show no clear trend, both up and down. With initial enthusiasm giving way to back and forth pattern, few funds hold large ETF positions that could significantly move the market, reducing the risk of sudden large-scale sell-offs, which is good news, but most of large Bitcoin ETF holders, which is 75% of them, allocate less than 2% of their portfolios to these assets. That's basically nothing. Institutional investors are primarily using Bitcoin ETF as a diversification tool rather than making major commitments. So crypto, despite its growing adoption and interest, which is definitely happening, despite what the US Supreme Court just did for us as well, we aren't at that tipping point just yet. We're close, but we aren't there just yet. I believe the 2024 election will likely play a critical role in kickstarting a major surge of adoption and price action in crypto. And again, to add further salt to the wounds, again from Dr. Martin Heisberg, US inflation woes intensifies following Jerome Powell's speech. The Fed hesitates on interest rate cuts in the near term. As Bitcoin price hovered around 60k on the 3rd of July as concerns over US inflation worsens, data indicated Bitcoin was trying to regain strength after a 2% decline at the previous day's close, and Powell's comment highlighted the Fed's reluctance to lower interest rates soon, stating that the Fed needs clearer signs of inflation stabilizing before considering a rate cut, which is worrying signs. So Bitcoin and crypto's market, this seesaw pattern if you will, may, again not financial advice, but there's potential that it may take a turn for the worse and correct much further down to potentially 45k. So what does this mean for Casper? Well, luckily right now, as we can see, Bitcoin may be dumping, yes, but Casper is holding strong at a support level above 17 cents. Now we know that there is no other coin performs better than Casper in the red market, and that's because Casper doesn't follow Bitcoin. And there's a reason for this. It's because Casper has thousands of wealthy holders at its core who never panic sell because they know what Casper is trying to build. With Casplex open beta out right now, which I'll cover in a separate video, and then it's the Casplex full release around the corner coming this month or next month as well. You have DAG-Lite and smart contracts as well, which is going to be big for Casper. And then of course the imminent Rust migration, which is closer than ever now. We can see here from Casper enthusiasts almost at 100%. Casper is preparing to move to 10 BPS onto the mainnet. Casper is already 600 times faster than Bitcoin with just 1 BPS. So just imagine what it will be at 10. 6,000 times faster than Bitcoin, which is insane. And with just 1.19% to go for the full migration as of this post 2nd of July, the gateway is close to opening up to countless more opportunities and price developments for Casper, like potential tier 1 listings. That's why the potential looming crash that's coming with crypto, it doesn't worry me in the slightest, because Casper will recover, it will stabilize, and it will survive the crash, of course it would. And not just that, but Casper potentially may continue on its track upwards as crypto continues to correct. Casper may stabilize and potentially even pump, because there is so much coming for Casper, and it did this in a bear market, so why can't it do it right now? So ultimately, just consider how frequent and bullish the developments are for crypto in the United States right now, with the US Supreme Court making major decisions as well. And furthermore, with how both seemingly poor Casplex open beta was, but also how successful it still was, Casper to $5 or $10 by the end of 2025 bull market, again to me looks even more likely. But let me know what you think down in the comments below, and always remember, don't be emotional, be logical.